You got one life, for crying out loud. You might as well just give it all you got.
The Deej, Dan Jourdan.
Your daily dose of reality. Your daily dose of the Deej.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need my daily dose of the Deej.
I make the news. I don't watch the news. I'm a leader.
The Sales Energizer, Dan Jourdan.
Listen, don't worry how to sell, baby. Worry about why people buy. And it's fun.
You don't need a 5-hour energy. All you need is the Sales Energizer.
Just when I think it's not going to be as fun as the one before, each one gets successfully better. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it going to take to get you into this car today, huh?
And now, please welcome the Sales Energizer, Dan Jourdan.
Boom! That's exactly it.
Do that. Let's do that.
My man! I don't know why. You ever just wake up and you're like, boom, I'm in a good mood today. I mean, sometimes you wake up like this or whatever, and sometimes you just wake up like wide and ready to roll.
Well, look at you. You're in an immaculate podcast studio today. You're like a real podcaster. Today we are equivalent left and right in podcast studios. I finally feel like, like the left brain and the right brain. Like everything is just commensurate.
There was a time when you could hang with me, but no more. Now I'm in the zone at all times with Chris Stone. I'm telling you, I just look. You know why I woke up like this? Boom! It's because I had a chance to see you and to see perfection, personified.
Oh my gosh.
It's true. I was thinking about it. I was talking to my son, Matthew. By the way, we have to put up some blurbs about Matthew and his business here. This is now officially sponsored by Georgia Clearing Company. With Matthew, call him with any of your junk removal needs here in the Atlanta area. But we got to get something up for him. But,
what's the name of the business again?
Georgia Clearing Company, and also Junk Generals. He's got, 2 DBAs.
This show is brought to you by Junk Generals, where you have all your great junk removal. What's the coverage area?
With a smile. Eh?
With a smile.
That's right. Yes. Anyway, I'm talking to him, and he's always, he's done listening to the Deej, and so he's absorbed all he can withstand, and now he's going to other people because they're much smarter. And he comes to me the other day and he goes, Daddy, I got it figured out. He goes, this is it. How you succeed in any business. He goes, it's unbelievable. He goes, show up, do the work. Mm-hmm. And the neighbors will see that you're the type of person that shows up and does the work, and then you get more business. He goes, the only people that really need to go crazy with marketing are people that don't show up and do the work. And I said, man, that's too much wisdom for one of your linear years.
Why isn't he on the show?
Because he's a wuss, and I can't get him to do. I mean,
these are gems. These are golden nuggets falling from the skies of Marietta, Georgia.
I know.
Speaking of Marietta, Georgia.
Yes. Are you trying to set me up? Oh, you're trying to set Yes.
It's like a segue to a segue. Absolutely. Very meta.
So I live in Marietta, Georgia. And then what happens is I do a lot of business around in the town in Marietta, Georgia. And because of that, I get to meet incredible people when I'm out doing my stuff. And there's many people see me and are like, oh, that was good. And they do all that stuff. But very few people follow up and actually make contact and do something and ask me to help them, which I'm a sucker for anything. So anybody who asks me, you're going to get time with me. That's the type of guy I am. I'll say anything. You know why? Because my guest next here has just coined a phrase that I'm going to use forever. She says I have kindness Tourette's, which I think is awesome.
I don't know if we can say that anymore, Dan.
And only somebody with creative juices seeping out their ears could come up with something so quick on the spot. And I'm so pleased to be able to get her on this show today without any further ado, the creative and wonderful Allison Wonders.
Okay, I'm not sure you were supposed to say that on the air, but that's part of the challenge that he's having. He just can't help himself.
We're
That's
on
the
this
whole
journey
point.
together, Allison.
Wait a second.
Yes.
I generally know if I'm saying something that's pushing the boundaries. I don't think I know what the boundaries are anymore. I can't, in my brain, I have no idea how that could be the least bit controversial.
Anything that has a group of people that have a problem or they have a culture, they're out. Any illness, it's true. So I am also, nobody knows what I am anyway, so I'll just start with what I'm also. I actually I'm a ventriloquist. So I know. Yeah. So I've been playing on TikTok and I have these characters. I actually have a one-woman show. It's a 45-minute show. And I do these, one of my acts is the voices in my head, and one is Marge. Hello, this is Marge. Hey, what are you doing on this? What's going on here? And another one is Swami, which is my positive. Oh, this is so good. Good to see all of the people here. So nice to see everybody. But I did that on TikTok and I put Swami, and then somebody said, I don't think you're allowed to do that. So I have to rename my positive voice. Yeah. Marge. Hello.
Oh, really?
Hello. Yeah.
So you're right. They took Abu off The Simpsons.
Oh, see? So we're here to teach people what not to do.
That's a bunch of garbage. I'm all about Swami.
I don't know if I ever have been on a show where I'm thinking we're going to talk about TEDx speaking, and we go into the cancel culture conversation, and a ventriloquist is the guest. I don't know how to act.
That's how we roll.
I'm trying to figure out how to combine my work. So here it is,
Okay. Well, you guys don't realize it, but she's actually been talking through me. So it's not me that's saying those awful things about people with Tourette's. It's Allison Wonders who's doing the whole thing. All right. So Allison Wonders, I do have a question because there was a time that I was saying, hey, let me do a TED speech. And so I was going out doing the thing, and I had a very nice woman who I can't remember who she is right now, but I remember she was very nice because she was delicate with me. And she said, listen, she said, a TED speech is different than the normal kind of stuff that you do. And she gave me a few compliments, all of that to soften me up. She says, it's not how to do something. It's the journey. It's like a journey of what you become and all this stuff. It was, something more than I had the ability to deliver at the time. And now, is that true, Allison Wonders?
Yeah. So let's start. So I'm Allison. I am a speaker coach, and I work with people and collaborate them on writing their presentations, their talks, their speeches. I specialize in TEDx Talks, and I've worked with over 100 TEDx speakers. So that's what brings me here today. Nice. And so a TEDx, well, let's just learn. Would y'all like to learn about
I would love
TED?
to learn.
Okay. So there's TED. TED stands for Technology, Entertainment, and Design. And they call it the big TED. It's like the main TED. It's like in California. It's like a week conference. It's got the most amazing people, all the top people. And the theme is it's an idea worth spreading. So it's not really a journey story. It's an idea. It's like a new, fresh take idea on something. And Dan, we can play with you because it's not about going up, in terms of your big idea.
I don't think you're allowed to say that anymore. There's a whole group of people. There's a whole group of people that play, and
Okay.
An idea worth sharing. You were saying, Allison. Yes.
Yes.
Please. So.
Right. Well, we'll get to that. So, and then there's TEDx. TEDx are independently licensed franchise events, and there are over 3,000 all over the world. And when you get a license, you have a lot of rules. So it's not easy to get a license. One of the main things you have to do is you have to provide a really good film of the talk, because that talk, then video, then gets to go onto the TED YouTube dedicated channel, and the potential for it to go viral, it's possible. It doesn't always, because you've got thousands and thousands. So by doing a TEDx talk, you have the potential to be seen by hundreds, thousands, millions.
Do you have any of your speakers that have viraled?
I do. I have one. She did one on NFTs, which are the non-fungible tokens around art, and she has over like 1.8 million views.
Nice. So, and who is that?
Her name is Elizabeth Strickler.
Yeah.
So, and that was like, that's such a new, fresh idea. That's why that got so much attention.
Now,
right?
Do you work with speakers to create this video for submission, or yes, and also when they're actually doing the TED talk or TEDx talk? And have you done them for both TEDx and the regular TED Talks, I guess?
Well, I have not. TED, TED. I actually did work with a young girl named Maya Penn. I worked with her for TEDx Centennial Park, or TEDx on the Beltline, when she was like 13. And I helped her with that talk. And by help, I really help people write the talks. They write it. I don't write it. I get in there and I'm like, flow, opening, middle, end, say it this way, change it that way. And then we work on delivery. And then as far as video and camera, and they're supposed to, when you do a TEDx, you stand in one spot and you deliver. So there's not really much to do there. So she then went on to TED and got on the TED Women's Stage. And she also has probably 1.8 million views. So
wow.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wait, so now if somebody comes to you with a presentation that they'd like to deliver and you don't think it's TED worthy or TEDx worthy, what happens then? You tell me to go home and rewrite, or this isn't a good thing?
Well, so here's the thing. So I work with some organizations as their speaker coach. This is an all volunteer position. So, and then I work with some speakers who hire me who got a TEDx. And then I've been like, how do I help people who don't even know how to get there? So now I work with a company where we can help you get to the stage from the moment go, and help you develop your idea. So we help you.
Here's the question. Should somebody get the gig first and then write the speech, or vice versa?
Yeah, definitely get the first thing you want to do. You do not want to write your speech first, because you might show up at a TEDx with a full speech and they will go, well, we have a speaker coach and we want it this way and we need you to do it that way. So that is not what you would hire someone for is to help you ideate, to help you flesh out your big idea. So like Dan, like she was saying, you as the sales energizer talking about sales, that's not really a big idea. But if we were to question you, I'm wondering, and we can do this now, I'm wondering if there's something that you have learned in your journey. Well, first of all, how many people you think you've worked with over the years?
I worked with?
Yeah, in your business.
Be honest, Dan.
Thousands, right?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Okay, so is there something
here and there? Sure.
Is there something that you have discovered, or that's you, like nobody else is saying it but you, and you go around and you're like, I don't know why anyone else isn't teaching this. Like, this is really your idea. Is there something like that for you?
Yeah, well, I'm the world's best cold caller, immediate rapport, and nobody can build immediate rapport like the Dig.
Okay, so
there's
tell me
other people though that say that.
What?
Well, so that we would dig deeper.
What makes you the best cold caller?
Right. Well, or I would even ask the question, tell me more about what's the process of you connecting? Like maybe it's in the connection. Maybe what you are, maybe your idea is, I know how to connect with somebody in 3 seconds. That could be a TEDx talk. That's really interesting. Like we all want to know how to do that. I don't know. Chris, do you think that's interesting? If somebody said, I can teach you.
Well, there's a couple of things too that just like being observed and knowing Dan for a few years, there's a few sort of themes that I think are, I don't know if they're completely original, but they feel like they're Danisms. Number one is to be a better salesperson, you have to first be a better person. And the second one is these 7 magic words. And I understand there probably is, and maybe that was somewhat repurposed, but it kind of relates to how you met Dan and how I met Dan. And this is all about Dan. Dan, you're in the hot seat today.
Wow.
And that is, I wonder if you could help me, right? And so that's the other thing. It's about helping people. It's about being a better person. So maybe something in there becomes a TED Talk.
I agree. I mean, tell me, Dan, what do you think's your secret sauce?
Well, we're not talking about the deeds right now. But
I'm saying this because this is what the process that I go through. This is the work that I do. This is how I get people on the TEDx stage. We go through a process, and we're not going to do it here, but we would sit down with someone like Dan, and we would ideate, and we would really find that like punch idea. We would come up with some titles. We would help you with your summary, and then we would help you do submissions, and then get you on the stage. So that's part of what I do.
Okay, but so the thing is I'm assuming what type of person wants to be on the TED? For what purpose does one usually, in your experience, want to get on a TEDx stage?
Well, first of all, there's nothing like it. So most people who are out there speaking are having to do it in their industries, right? They're doing it for their corporations. They're very targeted to their subject matter, right? They're not these conversational, speak to the larger community type of talks. So the TEDx stage in and of itself, the actual talk is, to me, they're delightful. They're just amazing. And they're 18 minutes or less. So you're not like going for an hour. You're not having to sit through something. They're really informational. Now, what could it do for you? Well, at the end of it, you've got this gorgeous video. So that video you can use on your website and all your social media. You put it on your LinkedIn. I can't tell you how many people, as I'm playing on LinkedIn, they always put they're a TED speaker. It just gives you a lot of credibility. And
so they use it for credibility and to launch a broader career.
Now, most people are already in their career. I say the best person to do a TEDx talk is somebody who is already sitting on a body of work. You're just not fresh with a new idea. Like, I can use Dan because I know you. You've had 30, 40 years behind you. You have thousands of people you've worked with. Like, you're credible already. So it's taking that to the next stage. And it's a lot of people really have the desire to speak. Like, they've just always wanted to speak. So it's a really unique speaking platform. Now, if all goes well, and you get this video out, you could go viral. It's very likely. And you could get a lot of people paying attention to you, seeing you, wanting whatever you have to do. I mean, every time I watch a TED Talk, I go to their website. I'm always interested to see.
Yeah. It's great for credibility, for sure. It's one of those things where, they don't, it's sort of an elite club, I guess. It's something that is a status. I mean, there's been very few times. I mean, there's some TED Talks or TEDx Talks where I'm like, maybe not interested in watching this, but you still know when you do push play on something that you might find interesting, it's going to be a valuable use of your time. There's a credibility thing there. And I think to list that means you are somebody, and they don't just take anybody. It's not like oh, wow, I have Google ad accreditation, like anybody takes the course, they can do that.
Right. Automatically, I think in terms of, starting a DJX, we need to have a DJ. This way I can make my own.
I thought we weren't talking about you, Dan.
Yeah, that's right.
What is that?
But
I like it. I'm in.
But that is a good question and a concern. TED and TEDx has been around for a while, and I know from being in and amongst speakers and around, a lot of speakers will poo-poo them. Like, it's, they're taking anybody right now. It's no big deal. Used to be, Al Gore and Tony Robbins. Now it's, John Schmelz and, Winston Hungario. I'm just making up names, but
pretty good.
But amongst the the vast population, does it still hold the type of credibility that you're speaking? Does it still have the ability to go viral?
I mean, I think so. I mean, these organizations that are putting them on, it's not easy I've seen both sides. I mean, it is a lots of volunteers, a lot of work to put on a TEDx. So if you are lucky enough to get on one of those stages, and there are some amazing stages. I was just part of a TEDx in St. George, Utah. It's not far from Zion National Park. It was at Tuacahn Amphitheater outside in the Red Rocks. We had speakers out there. It was incredible, like absolutely incredible. So Yeah, it was incredible. We had this woman talking. It was Space for Humanity, and it's like citizens getting on rocket ships and going on a space ride. And she did it as the stars came out in the sky, and it was just incredible experience. That's the other thing. What we're not talking about, we're just talking about the video. We're not talking about the actual TEDx. I don't know if you've ever been to one. There's a TEDx Atlanta, one coming up November 4th for women. You can live stream it because it's full. There will be one on March 17th, TEDx Atlanta. The experience of going to a TEDx is amazing because you get really cool people. Like, they're just really great people who care about ideas. And I mean,
let me just butt in for a second as a public service announcement to let people know in Atlanta, if it's full and you still want to go, and Allison Wonders isn't telling me this because nobody says this, but just go anyway. You just go there and just walk. See, she says no. Just go and say, hey, I'd like to volunteer. See what happens.
It's sold out. It's really sold out. That's another thing.
Go anyway.
Well, don't go anyway. So here's what do what Dan says and do what I say all at the same time. Good luck. But the point is that it is a really wonderful event. So this is Rachel, and she did this gorgeous talk, and you can't really see the sky because it got dark by the time she was done, but an incredible place. So yeah, it's an experience. The whole thing is an experience, and I am addicted to the whole thing.
Did you coach her?
She was not one of my people. No, I am a speaker coach manager, so I have my fingers in everybody, but not completely. But yeah.
And do you go to the events yourself? Like, so do you go to all these events yourself?
Well, I go to the ones that I am part of their organization. So I am part of TEDx St. George, and I've been part of TEDx Cincinnati, run by Jamie Law, who does. Her events are just off the charts. The people she brings are amazing. So yes, I go to those. And I actually will be doing something with TEDx San Diego. So I'm getting around. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's excellent. You're big with that. So you get to go to these things, your event. How are they funded?
Well, the organizers in charge, they get sponsors and tickets. That's how they're funded. So every organizer has to do, oh my gosh, this woman, this is Lucy Higgins. She's 16 years old, and hers is all about pop culture doesn't really work. So she's going to talk and talk. And in the middle of her talk, if you can kind of get to the middle, like go forward a little, and you're going to see something shocking that happens. Right there, go right there. Yep, right. Yep. So she's talking about how pop culture and girls are having to depend on pop culture. And then she takes her wig off, and she has alopecia. She is bald. So, and then she is finishing her story, telling how this has affected her life and how she's moving forward anyway. So hers is a journey story. Like, not everybody has I've worked with a lot of young people. I did work with her personally. I've worked with a lot of youth. So even your son, I mean, he might have an interesting story to be so young, to have built a business so young,
Oh, Matthew, yeah, Junk Generals. And if you need anything.
This show is brought to you by Junk Generals.
Matthew, yes, give him a call. Well, again, someone wants to get out in front of people and talk. So the people that you're coaching are already kind of extroverts and want to get into the business. There's no reluctant TEDx speakers, or maybe I'm wrong.
Well, they're not reluctant, but they're not all speakers. As a matter of fact, many of them are not speakers. What they are is people with ideas I mean, like I just worked with someone who invented an earbud that you use micro expressions and it can move a wheelchair. So it's literally like
awesome.
Yeah, amazing. So you could be in a wheelchair, moving it, never having to blow on something. Anyway, he's not like a speaker, right? He's an inventor, but he's so passionate about what he does that when you work with a coach and you get the right words, that's what I'm really good at. I'm good at helping people say what they really, really, really want to say so that when they go up to say it, they're not nervous because they've got all these words. They've got their passion. They've got their story. So they're like ready to deliver. They're excited to deliver. So they are not professional speakers at all.
Look at that. You know,
that's
Chris,
part of the charm of it, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're themselves, and I don't think there's an expectation that you got to go up and be Zig Ziglar. You know,
No.
you should be able to be comfortable in your own skin, and that's going to come across. It's almost like live video in a way. It's like
Exactly.
if you pretty everything up and you edit everything, and it sometimes just does not connect with people. And I think that's the beauty of some of these things. So what are some of the you mentioned a few of the people that you worked with. What are some great maybe stories, like what maybe is the most rewarding, or a few of the, I don't want to say most rewarding, I'm sure that there's been many, but off the top of your head, what's been rewarding for you as far as working with some of these folks?
I mean, one of my most rewarding, and don't look it up and don't put it up, but I did work with a person who was a Guinness World Record athlete of doing the most incredible thing you've ever heard. Like, wow. And when it came to his speech, he said it was the hardest thing he's ever done. Really.
Wow.
He really stumbled because he can climb, he can do all the things, but like getting the words. So here's the thing about a TEDx. You have to memorize it. That's the hardest part. Most people bring an outline, they can kind of, go here and there. Their minutes aren't really like being watched. At TEDx, your minutes are being watched and you have to memorize it because that's the way it sounds best. So he really was challenged. So, I mean, he got out there and he did a fantastic job. So it really was a really rewarding experience. So,
but you can I've been to TEDx events and there are presentations, right? So you can do that, but it's not a presentation from the standpoint of you're going through slides and you're reading them. It is
right.
very much a keynote, but you're not sort of, the presentation that's visual is not driving the talk.
Well said. Right. So when it comes to slides, the rule is 1 slide per minute, not a lot of words. It kind of backs up what you're saying. It's not slide heavy. It's not word heavy. And the delivery is conversational. So it's it's not technical. It's very conversational. When I work with people, I'm like, practice your talk sitting at the table, looking across from somebody and just talk, because that's what they are. They're called talks. So,
okay. So talks, great. So far we've spoken about, how to present and what they want at the TEDx thing. So let's say I've decided I got this story. I have this journey or event or something new that I want to share, and it's awesome. How do I contact it? Do I just contact the TEDx person? How do you get on the stage?
I mean, so you have a great idea and you have to write it really well. And then you go onto TED.com and then you find all the TEDx's you're interested in and then you apply.
You apply, really?
You
and
apply.
So what are just like applying to college?
Exactly like applying to college. You have to do essays. You have to get your idea. They ask a lot of questions. Yeah, so you go through the process. That's it. I mean,
which I imagine kind of weeds out the people who aren't willing to do the work.
Correct. Exactly. So yeah, so sometimes you have to do a video. Sometimes you have to write it this way or that way. Many times, you have to show you've talked before, not necessarily professional. You don't have to, but you've been on stage or you present your material. It's like a resume too. I mean, it's a resume. You have to
And
like
how many would you have to apply to before you started? In your experience, does one need to apply to get on the circuit?
I mean, I as many as you can. So that's the best.
Does that mean 4 or 9 or
No,
40?
probably. I mean, probably 50 to 100. Really.
That's impressive. So 50 to 100, and you're doing that whole full-on thing with each one, and each
Correct.
one wants something slightly different, which is daunting.
Correct.
Are there any services that do that for you?
Yes, well, that is the company that I work with. It's called Your TEDx Journey, and we help people get onto the TEDx stage. Not anybody. We don't just take anybody. We're interested in an idea we know is going to work and get on stage. So we'll take you through that process. We'll help you with all of your wording, your ideation, your videos, all of that. And then the company does the submissions.
Oh, you see that, because that's important to do something like that, because it's almost like a slip and fall attorney. Slip and fall attorneys, they win every case. And the reason why they win every case is they only take the cases that they know they could win. And so similarly, you're going to have someone that's going to succeed. If they come to you and you say you got something good and they have something not appropriate, you send them away. You're not going to take them. You don't want to sully your reputation. Absolutely.
Right. So the people and this is Jennifer Myers. This has been her business for several years. I've come on as the coaching portion of this, where we also provide you with an outline. So when you get to the part where you've been selected, you also do have kind of something to go off of to begin the draft of your talk. So you kind of, the full package, we kind of walk you through everything. There's even leveraging your talk afterwards. So that's what we provide. And I mean, just she has brought in really incredible people. So I really love what she's doing, and I would like to bring in some more people, because the experience of getting these people on the stage is so exciting. I mean, I just worked with this amazing man here in Atlanta. He just did his talk. He had the best experience. He deserved to be on stage. Like some people would say, well, it's a free thing. Why are people paying? And, I had to work that out myself, to get a service. And it's because they might not have the opportunity anyway. And this is an Indian American man who put out such an important message that he is now literally going to go do this with his life. Like, it was so valuable for him to put those words together, and you'll like it. It was an interesting subject. It was about Indian American parents are pushing their kids toward traditional jobs and roles, and it's really suffocating, and they're suffering because and he's an entrepreneur, so he wants to loosen that load for parents on children, and be more open to allowing them or supporting them to be on the entrepreneurial path. And that's exciting.
Yeah. And what I love about this is that it is, on the surface, I think a lot of people look at this TED talk and TEDx thing as you're working towards this moment on stage and you're doing this presentation, right? But, when you were, especially when Dan here was on the hot seat, and oh God, Allison, I enjoyed that. But we were talking about what do you do that makes you special that would warrant being able to do that? And then you're kind of digging into that. It's not just for a TED Talk. It's not just for TEDx. These are things that you would look to determine a niche for a podcast, or for a live show, or for a business idea, or for these things that would make you different and could speak to someone and solve certain problems for people. It's not just about this. I think these are core principles for life, really.
Yeah, and that's the part I love, and that I have done that with a lot of people. I've helped them do their 1-minute pitches, which honestly is the hardest thing ever. I bet Dan's really good at that, but 1 minute is such a short amount of time to say what you want to say, but getting really clear on your message. But the thing about a TED Talk that I've learned, and that I can translate for people, like you said, I could help them get really clear on their book, on their podcast, on any speech, on anything they want to say. Like, even if you are doing a 1 minute, 3 minute, like the big lesson of the TEDx Talks, is that they revolve around one message, one idea, so that the audience isn't left like, you know what I mean? Like, what did he say? Right? One idea, and everything supports that one idea. So for 16, 18 minutes, that's what you get to, and one thing you want the audience to take away, right? That's all in business, right? Get clear.
Yeah, that's true. It's all marketing.
Incredibly hard.
It's all marketing. The power of one, which is very important. Yeah, so that people know what to expect, and they know what they're going to leave with. If you give them two things, they remember nothing.
Right.
It's true. You just got to do it all. So is it easier for once one person does a TEDx speech, is it easier for them to do another?
Sometimes. I mean, some do. Yes. I would say, yes, it is easier. It depends who they are. So I don't know the exact answer because I've seen people do it, but I don't know how easy it is for them to do it.
No,
but
I mean, are they more accepting? Like, it's difficult to get your first, one. And so, but they say, oh, I've already done a TEDx speech. This is my.
I mean, I would say depends who you are. If you are if you're a hot person and you've gotten a lot of views, maybe they're going to want you because they know they're going to get a really good audience out of you. Yeah. Otherwise, I don't know.
So it still goes down to that. Can you
that's me
in the seats?
That's me. I don't know because I'm not an organizer, but right. It might not be a bad idea if you're an organizer, but some organizers, it depends where they're coming from. They're people just like us, right? And one wants to put ideas out. One wants to make sure they fill the seats. Like, what are they thinking? But I have never been part of a TEDx that they've had a repeat. Maybe one
repeat
time.
Offender.
Maybe one time.
Oh, okay. Well, and how many of these events have you been a part of?
So I've been doing this for 11 years. So I have there's been probably 2 events a year. So that's a lot of events. 20 events. 20
events.
Yeah.
I see. That's big. So if somebody is wanting to get on a TEDx stage and launch their career, what would you suggest that they do first?
Call me up. Let's do 15 minutes. Let's chat. Let's chat about your idea. Go to my LinkedIn. Yeah, find me. I'm very active on LinkedIn, and I'm doing 15-minute clarity sessions. I'll talk to you about your idea, and I'll help you to, decide if it's a idea that's worth spreading, or maybe you need to dig deeper, or maybe you need a little more time. And I'm happy to do that with anybody.
Now, and you're putting together a class that you're doing regularly?
Well, I'm just going to do my very first live on LinkedIn coming up on Monday, which is another how to do a TEDx. So I don't have a class yet. And I also, just like you said, Deej, there's TEDx is a unique stage, but I personally wish there were more stages for people to do that. So if you want to create a stage, let's do it.
A DJX? I'd love to.
Maybe not an X. Maybe you pick your own letter or do something. Okay. However, yeah.
God, you're speaking his love language here, Allison.
Yeah, a DJR. Then it could be like DJ. Yeah, that would be good too. Okay, so here's something. I don't share this much, but I want to ask to see if this would be an appropriate TED type of speech. So we talked about the instant rapport and things like that. All the sales skills that I've ever learned and all the really life skills that I've ever earned, I learned when I was 21 years old. And instead of going to college, I bought a store, blah, blah, blah. But I took a 8-month hitchhiking trip around the country. Took no money, just got jobs along the way, slept on the side of the road, all sorts of stuff before cell phones, the idea was to meet as many people as I could and learn from as many people as I could. And I left with no agenda, and I came home when I was ready to come home. And I remember specifically, I was in Pennsylvania somewhere in the woods. I had been there for 2 weeks camping in the woods by myself with bears. And my head froze off because I wanted to finally wash my hair. And so they had this, I cut a hole in the ice and I put my head in there and I did it and it froze. I mean, my head was freezing off. I felt like I said, I need to go home. And so I did it there. But that trip and the people I met totally transformed me. I learned, I wonder if you can help me on that trip. I learned how to see if people were dangerous or not on that trip. Nearly everything I use, how far you can push people. I did everything on that trip. Is that a TED worthy?
Well, what I would say is something like I learned instant rapport as a hitchhiker in the 80s, so is that interesting? Do you think it's more like,
No. More interesting is, how not to get killed while hitchhiking.
Okay, so forget hitchhiking. I said now today you put a stranger in the back seat and it's called an Uber, right? It used to be called hitchhiking. Changed it. I know, it's one of my jokes.
Except they pay for it. I wasn't getting paid for it.
What if he were to do the very same thing now and then compare when he did historically to now and
go on another hitchhiking venture?
Well, there's no danger now.
Well, more importantly,
there's cell phones now.
But that would be a good story to back up your talk. But the question is, and this is fun to do because then people can be thinking in their own mind.
Right.
What is your instant rapport piece that nobody knows, that's an idea that's yours, that you are teaching? That's really
there's everything's so basic. You just need to fall back to basics. But the main discovery was that everything you think about people before you meet them is wrong.
Have you done that as a talk?
No, but everything you would have thought about, the thing that you think you should be worried about, you ought not to be, and the things that you're not worried about, you ought to be worried about.
Well, I think that's a great talk. That sounds like a really great talk.
So in other words, like looking at someone visually and making some sort of judgment versus actually meeting someone and finding out you were wrong.
Well, one-on-one, people are so much more amiable than they are when it's group against group. It's just, you could think about a group of people in a certain way. A typical example, I'm from New Jersey, Northeast, Jewish, and we were taught from an early on, don't go down south. They think Jews have horns. Like that was the thing. You'd meet people and they say, you've heard that too, Allison, right? Yeah, they think you're the devil. They think you have horns, when I was hitchhiking, two types of people picked me up. Gay people picked me up. And I have no problem with it because, they just wanted, if I saw a pretty girl on the side of the road who was a hitchhiker, I'd like the company too. So I would do that too. Not that I'm, a pretty girl, but, and Christians, the same people we thought they would have horns, and they would say, where you going? Try to help me out. All that stuff. Can I pray for you when you leave? Absolute. The total opposite, out there doing good work. So I love, that's like a typical something that I learned.
So do you have the desire to get out there and spread that message as a speaker? Is that
No, I just wanted to ask if it was good. I think
it's good. I would watch a talk that said everything, whatever that title was. You had a great title. What about you, Chris? You ever thought about doing, if you were to do a TEDx talk, what would you talk about?
Oh, wow. Are we transferring the hot seat to me here?
Yeah, because I'll tell you why, because this is what it's about and this is what I do, right? Mm-hmm. So let's play.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I'm down for playing. I will tell you this. I have a desire to help people. I don't have a desire, not that I'm afraid of it, I can do it, to be a speaker. Okay. And I've spoken, especially over the last year, I don't know, half dozen times on various stages, virtually and IRL. And I enjoyed it. for sure, but I'm not aspiring to be a keynote speaker. I don't want to be Dan Jourdan or Victor Antonio
some people like
or
that.
Jeb Blunt or
I'm here at Rome in Fayetteville, one of those co-working spaces, and there's a meeting. I'm pointing over there. There's a meeting going on over there, and there was some applause. I immediately wanted to go into the room and say, "Hey, here I am." It's just clueless. But Chris Stone does have a story to tell. I guess they all do, but is it something that people are going to get paid to see? I guess that's a really good. It's not, is this a good speech? Is that the type of presentation that somebody would pay to see? What value will they get out of it? That's what anybody needs to think about.
And for the TED stage, TEDx, it really comes down to, is your idea worth spreading? What is your idea? Is it an original or fresh take on an idea? That's what we're looking for. We're looking for something that, so you can create conversations, so you can leave and talk about. But in terms of speaking,
how controversial can you get? So let's say you want to, I don't. Let's say somebody would say this.
Here we go.
Okay. Like, this is
kindness
just
threats.
I'm throwing out a topic.
Okay.
Throw it out. Throwing out a topic.
Do it.
Why is diversity good? I don't necessarily think it's all that good.
Well, that's a polarizing topic for a stage, isn't it?
And what if I were to give a speech on, here, I'm thinking about this. I see, I think there's diversity between you and I, Allison Wonders. You being a female, me being a male. I mean, there's great, differences between us. But I see virtually no difference between me and Chris Stone being a male, or me and a Hispanic man, or a black man, or an Asian man. I mean, I know their experiences. I know their life much more than I know any woman's life. And so I see diversity in male and female, but I don't see diversity between the races.
Well,
and so is that something that would make it understand? Excuse me?
Well, let me just say, on the TEDx stage, there is no politics, there is no religion, and anything that you say has to be backed up. So if you're, and probably that would not make it to the stage, right? I mean, unless you were a researcher and you had documented and you have all this information that shows the audience, but clearly that's not going to happen, because that is not a statement of today. But that's really important to know too. You cannot just get up on a stage and just throw out stuff. They will take you down. You will not get your video up if it's not a good organization, and they're not watching the talks, then they're going to miss it, because you cannot state anything. And you also, I forgot to tell you this part.
Ooh. When
you are on the TEDx stage, you cannot sell yourself, which is a little wonky, because like I had this guy, they do vertical farming. Amazing. They do bring the farm, not the table. They literally take these farming on trucks, go to places all over the world, land these containers. So people who are in places that don't have water, who can't, dry out the whole thing, they've got this vertical farming, and his company literally was on the forefront of this, right? So you can't really even say all that. You can't say my company, we've learned the hard way. My company, I did this, we did that, so it's like the idea is vertical farming. You can take it in to the farm. That's the idea. And then you can sometimes build your story into it, but not always. It's there's different kinds
somewhere
of
else
talk.
to put someone in your funnel besides from TED.
Correct.
Makes total sense to me. But Dan, I would argue with you, just back to the diversity thing.
Okay.
I would argue with you that you and I are very diverse. Now we may have similar, skin color, right? But we are diverse in a lot of areas of thought, like this.
Yeah, I'm talking about biologically. We're the same.
Does that matter?
Diversity of what? That we're biologically the same? Yeah, well, no, true, because I can relate to your life's experiences. You know, it's one of those things. I can't. Well, listen, you know.
I will say this. I will say this, Allison. That here's what I like most about this is that you said this. You said an original and fresh take, and I think. Sort of you're talking about me, Chris, what, is your story worthy? And then it's got me thinking, right? And I think, you're talking about vertical farming, and I've seen a lot of TEDx like, oh my gosh, this person had a fantastic idea about this, that, and the other. And it's inspirational, right? And that's the whole intention of that. But then it makes me think like, maybe I need to develop more of a fresh idea or a fresh take on what I'm doing. I don't have to reinvent the wheel and come up with some vertical farming, hijinks, right? But it's something where you need to consistently look at something and mold whatever you're doing and develop something that has some sort of ingenuity or, innovation to it. And I think that's really what it's about.
Right. And that's one kind of talk. And then there's just talks that, like you said, he does vertical farming. In TEDx Atlanta, we're about to have this really interesting talk. I really don't want to give it away, but it's a new kind of protein, and it's an insect protein. And
oh my gosh.
But that's her work, right? So she's going to introduce to us something that we're not familiar with. She doesn't have to dig into deeper to find the idea. But then other people, like and they're not really supposed to be motivational, but they are motivational in that but like, I don't know enough about you, Chris, but I know about Dan, and Dan's sitting on 30 years of sales work, successful, and he's got this presence and he's got this personality. So there's somewhere in that personality that he's got something that's I think that's really valuable that he could.
She's so good for my
totally
ego.
Agree. Yeah.
I know, totally. That's how we're diverse, Chris Stone. It's that I am totally likable and you are not.
Do you know? I don't know him.
That's the only thing.
Do you know Allison is very diverse in terms of her Instagram? This is Dan. Have you seen this?
I've been to one of her one-woman shows.
This is some incredible stuff. Let's get her Instagram up here. And your TikTok. What's your TikTok? We got.
I think it's Allison Wonders. You know what? I just started TikToking again. So it's Allison Wonders Show. So I'm a ventriloquist. I have a 45-minute ventriloquist show. I have 7 characters. It is an absolutely adult show. That is Barbie. Barbie sings. I have a really interesting other puppet. Hopefully you will not see that one.
Where's Swami?
Wow, now we're interested.
This is mandala. I made a mandala for the refugees. That was my trip to Vermont. Oh my gosh, I've never had somebody scroll through my Instagram.
Oh, look at that.
You put it on the internet. It's gonna be
that's Blue. Blue is one of my characters. He has a problem with he smokes a lot of weed. I'm going to be honest. It's not me. It's him.
All right.
Life's rough. Life's rough. So I mean, puppets do it now. When did people change the name from pot to weed? Like when did that happen?
I don't know when anyone's ever said pot since 1972. I think you're bringing it back.
Really?
I know. Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, smoking the pot.
Well, it's funny because I there's a joke I was going to use and I didn't know if anyone would understand. It's like, my it looks like my show's gone to pot. You remember that expression?
Yeah.
That's Barbie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is a fun story. Oh, that's Tree. Oh, look at that. Look, this is so fun. Where did Barbie go? Yeah, Barbie is modeled after a real person.
Okay.
That's Barbie. She's modeled after a real person who passed away, and I got the puppet, and she continues to sing and live on. I love her. Let's see what do we have next?
Oh wow, we're just.
This is Tree. Tree goes with Mother Nature. Mother Nature drinks a lot because life's a little rough,
Yeah. Tree does Tree do pot too as
Tree does not, but Tree has a mushroom, and Mother Nature may dig into it a little. But she created it.
Oh, this dude loves his remote control.
I forgot these. This is Cecil. You would love Cecil. He's an old curmudgeon man who
Get off my lawn.
Stupid, man jokes and razzes the audience. Okay, there might be one.
I'm offended by stupid man jokes. What are all men?
I'm sorry.
Do all
Give
men
us an example of a stupid man joke.
I mean, I don't know.
Oh, here he is.
Oh, come on.
There he is. Oh, wait, he might be funny there.
Oh, wait, we need volume on this. Do we need volume on this? This is good. Dan's getting a call anyway. So.
Oh, he's watching. What's he watching?
Cecil Turtle.
Hang on, let me.
Chris, don't.
Hang on a sec. No, I want to get this guy. What's the guy's name again?
Cecil. Cecil.
Cecil.
My dad's middle name.
I used to have a guy in high school. His name was. They called him Cece.
Okay, so now we have audio. So here
okay, I don't remember what I did. So let's see.
Okay, this could be we could get booted off the interwebs. Here we go.
Hey Cecil, what are you doing? We got to practice. I got to rehearse.
Elvis blind. What the hell is going on anyway with this?
9 hours later.
Unbelievable. Rehearse?
Nah.
Nice.
Good old Cecil Turtle.
Hey Cecil, what are you doing? We got to practice. I got to rehearse.
Elvis blind. What the hell is going on anyway with this?
9 hours later.
Yes, and it's
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Rehearse?
Nah.
Yeah. Great. Well, good to know that my stuff is being seen. Yeah.
That's
so
it. It's being seen by dozens of people right now.
Yes. You've gone viral.
By human.
Well, this is all Allison Wonders. You keep on surprising us all with
that's my job. That's
I like your hand thing.
I don't know. Get me off of this stage right now.
Remember the Anteater? And remember it was a cartoon with Jackie Mason, and he was the
Anteater? With, that was on Pink Panther, I want to say.
Yeah, it reminds me of that because he would talk out of his snout. It would be like, "Hey, Ant, you're invited for dinner." And you're
invited for dinner. All of the people can come to dinner. I hope you enjoyed the show, because I did. Hello!
All right. I can't think of a better way to start. Allison Wonders, this is terrific. So if somebody wants to get on a TEDx stage, there's one person to call. No. And that's Allison Wonders. Give her a call. She'll love to help you out. She'll keep you in line. She'll set you straight as she does me. I really appreciate you and for putting up with me and especially for putting up with Chris Stone.
Oh,
very fun. Y'all, you are
great. Very professional. Chris, once again, unbelievable. He just manages. All you do is mention something and boom, he just puts it up there. I mean, you'll never again be on another podcast nearly as well produced than if you have Chris Stone. If anybody's looking,
how is my ventriloquism? Is it pretty good? Hey, how you doing? Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, it's all in the I can't say mic. It's hard.
Exactly.
How do you do this is another skill. How do you do M?
It's an N, and then your ears just hear it, and then after a while it sounds like an N.
Can't talk into the mic.
Can't talk into the mic.
Nike. But look how she automatically goes with the hand. Hey, you guys are awesome. Eat well, live long, and prosper. You guys are awesome. Chris Stone, thank you so much again. Allison Wonders, stick around for another 10 seconds after we get off. Okay. Eat well, live long, and prosper, and go get them today, guys. Take it easy.
Go get them today.